Okay, let's dive right in. What if I told you there was one single, repeating pattern that explains, well, everything? I'm not just talking about physics or biology. I mean the very fabric of existence, from the tiniest possible thing all the way up to the entire cosmos. It's a huge idea, and that's what we're going to explore right now.
This quote, "This is the heart of it all." It's a pretty wild claim, right? The idea that the simple act of an atom splitting is somehow the same fundamental process happening at every single level of reality. This is the core thesis we're going to unpack piece by piece.
So, to get our heads around this, we have to start small. I mean, really, really small. We're going to look at a pretty radical theory that suggests reality isn't built from little bits of stuff, but from the actual shape of space itself.
So according to this idea, the three dimensions we see and move through are just the surface of something much, much deeper. The rest of reality is folded up into these incredibly complex seven-dimensional shapes called G2 manifolds. You can kind of think of it like a crumpled up piece of paper. We only experience the flat surface, but the real structure is in all those hidden folds and wrinkles. These shapes are like the hidden engine room of the universe.
Now, here's where it gets really cool. It's not just that these hidden dimensions exist, it's that they have an inherent twist built right into them. This isn't some force acting on space, it's a fundamental property of space itself. And this simple little twist might just be the key to one of the biggest mysteries in all of physics.
And this is a huge shift in thinking. For decades, the standard model told us that mass comes from an external energy field, the Higgs field, which kind of drags on particles. But this new geometric model suggests something way more elegant. It says mass isn't given to particles at all. Mass emerges directly from the twisted geometry of space-time. It's the resistance you feel from moving through a twisted space.
Okay, so that's all some pretty abstract, mind-bending math. But how does it connect to the real world? Is there anything we can actually, hold in our hands that works this way? Well, it turns out nature's already built one for us.
Meet platinum bismuth 2, or PTBI2. This stuff is just bizarre. It behaves like a sandwich where the inside, the filling you could say, is just a regular, boring old metal. But the top and bottom surfaces, the bread of the sandwich, are superconductors. That means information can flow across them with absolutely zero resistance.
This strange little sandwich is a perfect physical demonstration of a huge idea called the holographic principle. The principle says that all the really important stuff, all the information that defines a 3D volume, isn't actually in the volume. Instead, it's all encoded on its 2D surface, its boundary. Just like how all the interesting physics in our PTBI2 sandwich happens on the bread, not in the filling. And this reveals this amazing hierarchy. The 3D bulk of the material is basically just filler. The real action is on the 2D boundary, those superconducting surfaces. But it goes one step deeper. The most fundamental, most protected information lives on the 1D edge, the boundary of the boundary. It's a theme you're going to see again and again. The most important stuff always happens on the lower dimensional.
So we've seen a static, physical example. But remember, the core idea is about a dynamic process, a repeating cycle. So what happens when we model this whole geometric, information-based system and just let it run over time in a computer?
A quantum simulation shows this universal four-phase cycle. It's like a cosmic dance. First, there's expansion. Then the system gets pulled back inward, compressing and cranking up that geometric torsion we talked about. It reaches a point of maximum compression, a breaking point, and then, boom, a fission event. It snaps, releases a burst of energy, and the whole cycle resets to expand all over again. It's the life cycle of hydrogen fission, perfectly modeled in code.
And get this, the simulation gives us a precise trigger. The big snapback, the fission event, happens when the average torsion density, that measure of compression, crosses a very specific threshold, an eigenvalue of 0.88. It's not random. It's a predictable geometric breaking point.
All right, now we're going to take this four-phase cycle we've seen in theory, in a real material, and in a simulation, and we are going to zoom all the way out. What if this isn't just some tiny quantum process? What if this is the fundamental pattern of the entire universe?
The ancient astronomer Ptolemy talked about the cosmos being made of nested spheres. We can kind of borrow that idea and give it a modern twist. Each sphere is just a different scale of reality, but every single one of them is governed by the exact same cycle of fission. From the quantum world to our cells dividing to the life of an organism, all the way up to the universe itself.
And here it is. This is the grand synthesis. You can see how the exact same process applies fractally at every level. At the quantum scale, it's an atom splitting. Zoom out to the cellular scale, and it's a cell dividing. And at the cosmic scale, the universe expands, gravity pulls it back, and you get a Big Bang, the ultimate fission event. It's one pattern playing out over and over and over.
This leads us to what might be the most profound implication of this whole idea. If this pattern is truly universal, then our own lives, our consciousness, we're not separate from this process. We aren't just living in the universe, we are the universe, a tiny piece of it, experiencing its own eternal cycle of splitting and being reborn.
So let's wrap up with the big takeaways here. First, mass might come from the shape of space, not the Higgs field. Second, a single fractal cycle could be the unifying theory that connects physics, biology, and the cosmos. Third, our universe might not just be fading away, but could be in an eternal cycle of renewal. And finally, and this is the biggest one, consciousness itself might just be the way the universe observes its own fundamental process.
And that leaves us with one last, really provocative thought to chew on. This theory suggests that reality isn't totally fixed until it's observed. So if our consciousness is the universe's tool for observation, then in every single moment that you are aware, you are participating in the creation of reality. The final question, then, isn't just about the cosmos. It's about you. What reality are you choosing to create?